Okay, the stream is live. And Stuart, you are back to being the host. I'm going to drop off. Okay, the stream is live. Talk to you all later.
Okay, see you, Michael.
Bye.
Okay, so welcome to anyone that's watching. This is the Build Workgroup meeting for Node.js for the 8th of February 2023. Yeah, so first of all, I guess the usual thing is any announcements anyone wants to make?
Yes, so we're planning security releases of Node for next Tuesday. So the CI is currently locked down. So any collaborators working on Node, you're not going to have access to the CI until after the security releases are done next Tuesday. Maybe a little bit delayed unlocking the CI until after the releases are out, because we're also planning to update the Jenkins CI server to the latest current LTS. So we had held off that while we were upgrading the agents. We believe all the agents are now updated. So after we've got the security releases out and the CI still locked down, we'll do the update and look at the plugins and get them updated as well. And hopefully not have the problems we had last time we tried to do plugin updates.
Yep. So do you reckon we'll be able to do that at some point next week, or will it be into the week after that?
Yeah, no, the plan is next week. So the plan is to get the security releases out and then do the Jenkins update before unlocking the CI and open it up again to collaborate.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Cool. Okay. Do you want to start going through all the things that are in the issue for this today?
I guess so. I mean, some of them are going to be really quick, I guess.
So the first one was add Demolo to test.
Yeah, there've been no objections. I will need to schedule a sort of onboarding session, but I think that's just going to happen.
Okay, fair enough. Nice, easy one. Membership audit.
That Michael was driving that, so I guess maybe we'll leave that with him.
Yeah, save it next time. That's fine. The next one is disk full on download server. So I think we have a strategy for that now, and I just need to implement it. It's probably going to be tomorrow or Friday now. So I'll get the script that I've got that will do the clear up on the two subdirectories that we spoke about. Those are the main, the nightlies and it was the V8 canaries, wasn't it? The two that I'm going to cover with that. So that will just keep sort of every month back to the beginning of time sort of thing, and then a lot more of them of the more common ones, so the more recent ones. So so that's in progress, and it's got a plan to get that through. Next one is retiring the Raspberry Pi cluster. Rod, do you want to say anything on that?
Just maybe a eulogy. No, that's all packed up, turned off.
Okay.
Not so much packed up, but it's turned off and disconnected. So we successfully removed from CI without apparent hiccup. So apparently turning that off there has not caused locks of any CI jobs. So all good. But yeah, I mean, it's sad to see it go, but because
it is,
largely because it was contributed by a lot of people. A lot of people actually donated that stuff. That was not paid for by the foundation. It was paid for by individuals, and that was a big deal for quite a number of years. So that did its job. It just became too hard to keep maintaining. It's costly for me to run it in my house, and also the maintenance burden just increases all the time with having to keep it updated. And
SD cards and things.
SD cards burning out all the time, and the size of the repo gets bigger, so needs more storage, which I didn't have. And the other thing was the size of the test suite makes it run slower and slower. So it's just the difficulties mount up. And Stuart, you did that stuff with I think we're virtualizing aren't we now, or we're running them natively on those ARM64s. Downscale.
The systems we have now are they're ARM64, but they still support the 32-bit instruction set, so it is running natively on the processor in Docker containers rather than being full emulation or anything like that. So it runs at a reasonable speed. It runs at effectively the full speed of those large ARM64 systems that we have, so it's a lot quicker as well.
I think early on we got a lot of value from it, from the cluster, because we really ironed out usage of Node on those sort of low power ARM devices that people are using for hobby and IoT stuff. But over time, the number of unique issues to that platform really decreased to very few. So I think we squeezed maximum value out of it. So there's my eulogy to the great Raspberry Pi cluster. That the picture I noticed is still on the build repo README. So
yeah. Be there for us all to remember it.
So I think I'll close that issue now then.
Yep, I guess so. Yeah, thanks for running that for so long. It's when did it actually start up? When did you start hosting stuff in there? It's been quite a while ago now, wasn't it?
A long time ago, yeah.
Yeah.
I couldn't put a date on it, but it was Node was just, it was not long after Node 4, maybe even before Node 4 actually, when we were doing iOS, and people were just, the hobbyist community was really firing, and people were just constantly having issues with running Node on Pis. So that was the solution.
We started with some of the original Raspberry Pis, the version 1, didn't we?
Yeah, we had 1Bs, and yeah, I had a 1B, and then I can't remember where I got another couple of 1Bs, and we were running it on that, and then we just So I retired them a few years ago already. So the 1Bs became too slow. So we had a whole suite of them, and then we're on 2s and 3s, and then they're the ones that are shut down now. So yeah, sure. Yeah. But if anyone can think of anything constructive to do with a suite of Raspberry Pis that some variously have working SD cards, mostly they'd be needing new SD cards, but I do have a pile of Raspberry Pis.
Did Odroids as well in there, wasn't there, if I remember rightly?
Sorry, Odroids. Yes, I've got some Odroids too, the XU ones. There was 3 of them, and I initially put in it was an earlier Odroid that was really difficult to keep in line. So, but they were retired as well because of instabilities.
Yeah, sure. I've got an XU4 here, which is quite nice. It's an 8-core ARM32 one. They're quite good.
They are nice little pieces of kit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we need to?
So
I was going to say, have we? I don't know if anyone knows whether we tidied up the inventory, whether we need to remove them.
No.
No. So I can look at that.
We probably haven't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would clean up people's SSH configs. Yeah.
It'd be quite a lot. Yes.
So I guess close that out before closing the issue. That'd be good. Okay. Next on the list is Grafana, visualize machine availability.
Probably leave that till Ulysses is able to make a meeting. Yeah.
Yep. Let me just have a quick look at that and see if there's been anything recently. Nope, last update was in November. Okay. macOS 10.x deprecation.
We probably need to revisit that given the problems that we've had. Some of the background for this is apparently Homebrew doesn't run on macOS 10.15 anymore. It requires macOS 11 at a minimum. So there's a question mark as to whether we'd actually be able to rebuild any of the macOS 10.15 images. And then plus, I think I'm told the last round of security updates weren't released on 10.15. So people are assuming that's now no longer in support because Apple do not formally shut off support for any flavor of macOS. So we'll probably need to keep them around for, well, I say that, we do have that minimum deployment target thing that we set, which I think works. So probably we could move the actual machines and then still keep the same deployment targets, but we've tended in the past to keep the machines and bump them on December majors. Node 20 will be the next December major. So there's an opportunity there. It's just whether someone like Ulysses can do the work and whether we actually have the hardware around. I think it's only Orca. It's only the x64 stuff that's on 10.15. So Orca, we do have capacity on, and we should be able to spin stuff up in Orca without incurring charges. So it's just seeing whether people have time to do that. But we probably need to plan how we're going to sort of move off onto newer macOS, because I think it's going to be untenable to keep that 2 or 3 years further into the future.
Yep, absolutely. That makes sense. And certainly if we can use the target to move it, to allow it to target those systems anyway, it should be transparent and not cause any problems. I guess the thing is to try and, yeah, of course, we build and test on the same machine, don't we? So you don't build and then test on an older one. Okay.
That's correct.
Yeah, that sounds like a reasonable course of action anyway. So, yeah, just need to find someone to do it, I guess, and find some time to manage to schedule that in. Right, the next one is Jenkins Agent needing your Java 11 plus. As I think, as you said earlier, that sounds like you reckon that's all done now. I guess we've got that
Yes.
nice little chart in the table that's in the Jenkins configuration will tell you what each one's running. So
yeah. So the only thing I know hasn't been done are the really old like Linux distros like Debian 8 or Ubuntu 16, which I'm planning to drop out of the. I'm not planning to keep them running. I'm planning to migrate them onto two other distros, like newer Ubuntu. We don't have much Ubuntu 20, for example, or even 20. I don't think we've got any 22.04. So yeah, repurposing the Ubuntu 16 machines onto a later Ubuntu, I think makes sense.
yeah. So are those ones still in the CI just now?
They are. I think I've removed them from the main jobs, but there might be some jobs used by other projects that are also on the CI that might need to be moved. So we need to sweep around things like the add-on API jobs and the libuv jobs, just move them onto other Linux distros.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Okay, next is support for LL node builds. I know nothing about this one whatsoever, so I'll let somebody else talk to that if they can.
Yeah, I don't know where that is. I think Anton Wally from IBM was asking because he volunteered to look after LL Node because it was kind of orphaned for a bit. So there were LL Node builds in Jenkins, and then we removed them because no one was using them. So I think he was asking for them back, but I haven't heard from him for a while. So I'll probably need to touch base and see where we are on that. I think the problem was they were trying to do it on GitHub Actions, and some of the tests were too big to run in the default GitHub Runners. So yeah, it may just need going back and checking.
So do they? Could they run on any of our regular machines? Is there an issue with doing that, or is it just capacity?
I don't know. We'll have to find out. It's like I don't know what platforms they want to be running the stuff on.
So it needs more resources than default 2-core 7 gig RAM that is allocated to GitHub Actions. I guess not quite.
So it really depends what sort of platforms they want. Some of the stuff we've got in the CI is bigger than that. Some of it's actually probably around the same.
Yeah, indeed. So. Okay, yeah. So there hasn't been any update on since August. So yeah, I guess if we should probably try and circle back with Anton on that. Okay. But yeah, nothing extra that we can really say here, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Onboarding F3N67U to the build work group.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I've seen them around Node recently, so I don't know if they're still involved. They opened this. I can't even remember if they were collaborators at the time they opened this, but if they were, they hadn't been for very long. So there was a sort of not really sure who they are and what they were hoping to do. So yeah, I don't know really much about this other than it's open. But I don't think I've seen them for a while, so I don't know if they're still involved.
Well, I guess if they're reading this or watching the stream at any point and they've heard their name come up, then get in touch with us and we can look at whether we want to progress that forward. Okay, the build helper role, is there anything more on that? Is that that's just
no? But one of the things that we could push on there is the Macs. So we were running out of disk space on some of the Macs, and Ash found out that there's some caches being built up where if you can sort of delete them and reboot the machines, and you get a whole bunch of gigabytes of space back. That may be something we can put into an Ansible role as for running in AWX, because I think you may need to have root access to be able to delete the caches. So I don't think we'll be able to do it from Jenkins job, but we might be able to do it from an Ansible playbook. So yeah, that may be one of the things we can push there. But other than that, I don't think anyone's had time to do anything.
Yeah, I mean, we could also look at whether it's possible to, give it sudo access to run that one particular command, particularly if it's non-destructive. That might be an approach that we could take on it if we wanted to run it from the Jenkins user.
Yeah.
And the last one that's on the main list for Node.js build is official Windows ARM64 binaries. Last I saw, that was a bit broken. I know that Zhao is looking at getting us some extra runners or extra agents for that, and he's sort of working through that at the moment. So I guess stay tuned and see where we are with that. But it's certainly going forwards, and hopefully we'll have some more systems for that. Yeah, the CI
do we have infrastructure lined up for that, or is that still running on laptops?
I think that's what Zhao is looking at. I believe he's trying to get some systems in Azure that we can add to that. Obviously, we have it's 2 systems at Nearform at the moment.
Yeah, they're Surface devices, so yeah, the equivalent of laptops, I guess.
Yeah, Zhao's been trying to set up some other ones.
It's been a long time in progress, so it's surprising.
It certainly has, yes. But I think with Linaro now sort of doing some work on it, it's getting a bit more focus, and the Microsoft team are getting a bit more active in terms of trying to get us systems for that, which is good. So yeah, it's starting to ramp up now, where, as you said, it's been a bit stale for a while. So yeah, getting some active interest, which is always good to see. And yeah, obviously we have it in the main CI now, and it is running on each of the pull requests that come in. So that's good. Just need that extra bit of capacity, and ideally not to rely just on those machines at Nearform, which I think were they laptops, those ones, or were they other ones? Can you remember, Richard? I've got a feeling they were.
It was Surface laptops.
Yeah. They're Surface devices. So yeah.
Indeed. Okay, try and go through the other repositories quickly. There's only one in each, by the look of it. So Node.js node, request for large runners on the GitHub CI. That's another one I don't know about.
Yeah, I don't know why that's on the build agenda, because we don't really look after any machines in GitHub. And we don't have, I think at one point Mary was looking at whether we could run GitHub Runners on our infrastructure, but I'm not aware that actually went anywhere in terms of, I don't know how much investigation was actually done on that. So yeah, I can't remember why this is actually.
Okay, so yeah, it's not obvious. I think Rich added the build agenda label by the look of it. Also a TSC agenda at one point was added by the originator, but that's gone now. So, yeah. Okay, so I guess that's another one I need to circle back on. Next one is in Nodejs.org, new crowd-in updates.
Cool. Again, build doesn't have anything to do with that. Why was this here?
Okay.
I wonder if they were just fishing to see if anyone actually had the credentials, which we don't.
Yeah. Added by Rich Trott again. Build agenda. Trott says created now the build agenda. The next agenda, but hopefully it can be resolved before then.
Apologies. No, hang on. Yeah, there's an ask here about the GitHub build, the GitHub bot account. So there's a GitHub account for the GitHub bot that we run.
That's the next one. That's you getting access to it, isn't it?
Yes. So
yeah.
Should we go to that one?
That's the next one on the list. So go for it.
Yeah. So. Yeah, there's an area of the secrets repo that I don't have access to, which is this one with the GitHub bot. I think, Rod, you tried to do it and ran into problems with .gpg. Philip also was running into problems, I think, because there's an expired UPG key in the GitHub bot area.
From memory, if you figure out which one's expired and if you remove that key, just RM it from the .gpg.
Yeah, I suggested this, but I can't do anything with it. So I've suggested to Philip. I don't know if he's had time to look at that. .gpg was broken for a bit. There was some dependency that it was some like Ruby dependency, gem dependency.
Yeah, it was broken for me. I haven't been able to use it since that. So you think it's fixed now?
It should be. Yes. I believe it's fixed now. remember the
Okay.
system that I was trying this on. I had a bit of problems because I think some of the gems were cached, and I had to get rid of the cache as well to force it to grab the newer ones. But I was able to set up on a fresh, I think it was Ubuntu 20. It was either 2004 or 2204.
The ones it wasn't working on anyway, because you told me the dependency that I needed to fix to get it to work in my system as well, didn't you?
Yeah, so I believe it works. I don't know. So yeah, this is one of those weird things because I can see the file names, I can't see what's in the files, so I don't know if I need to know what's in those files because I can't read them. But even things like, if I try and run the playbooks try and decrypt stuff. I don't know if it's actually using any of the stuff in the secrets, but it at least tries to read stuff out of the secrets. So, it's just a sort of, we don't know. And that earlier issue where they want to do something with the GitHub bot account, and the question was, well, who has the details to be able to log in as that account to do whatever it is that's needed in Cloudin. And I don't know. I did see there was a markdown file in that secrets area, but I can't read it.
I can get into it. I can see the stuff. So .gpg is working for me again. So
excellent.
Excellent.
So is that just fixed then?
Is that just straight out without any tweaks then? No.
I just reinstalled it. So I'll see if I can add Richard.
Yeah, okay. That'd be good. If you can add me or Michael or both, and we can take it from there.
Yeah,
that sounds good.
I don't know if .gpg add is going to work. That's going to be the trick. So I'll give
So there is one key. There is definitely one key in there that's needs deleting. In the issue in the secrets side, did identify which one it was. I can't remember which one off the top of my head. But at least one of the keys. Actually, it might be Joy's key, maybe. But anyway, it's definitely an issue. I wrote down which one looked, because you can look at the keys in the .gpg directory and sort of inspect them and see which one's expiring. So yeah, the other thing about .gpg is it does appear to be working. It also doesn't appear to have been updated in like years. so the risk of it breaking sometime in the future and not working again, I guess, is not zero. But I don't know if there's like a reasonable alternative to move to that wouldn't be, wouldn't involve re-architecting some of what we're doing with it.
So as I think I mentioned to you before, Richard, there is a tool that the Eclipse Foundation have been using, and I work with them on another project. So I'll try and do an evaluation of that at some point and come back with a potential proposal if we actually want to move away from that.
Yeah, I think it's more sort of what are our options, and then sort of as a group decide whether we want to move to that, because
indeed,
.gpg obviously has challenges to people that aren't already using it. Yeah,
absolutely. It's not too bad if you're just reading things. You can do that just straight with the normal GPG commands, but if you actually need to make modifications and so on, it's a little bit more problematic. Okay, I think that is everything that was in the list in the meeting agenda. Is there anything else we want to discuss?
I guess the only other thing I'll mention is at some point in the next week or two, I'm going to open a PR on the main Node repository for Node 20. So my plan for Node 20, there was a discussion in the core repo that no one's actually objected to, is to move compiling the binaries for Node 20 to GCC 10. So that would be like the developer. No, it's not a developer toolset. It's a GCC toolset on RHEL 8. It is available on the Linuxes. It may already actually be there on a lot of them. I think I put them on at least the IBM platforms. And then AX, I know it's there. I probably need to talk to Brian from MNX about the SmartOS machines. And then we probably need to do the cross compiler for ARM. But yeah, I'll just mention that. So that will come in the next couple of weeks.
Of course, still cross-compiling for ARM in the release builds, are we?
We are still cross-compiling for the 32-bit ARM. So the 64-bit one is compiled straight, normally like everything else. But the ARM 7 stuff is still cross-compiled. yeah, I guess we've got a bit of a challenge there because the distros available for that ARM7 architecture are a lot less than the ARM64 architecture. So if we wanted to build natively from, I suppose unless you compiled an ARM64 targeting ARM7, but then you're still in some sort of, it's probably not too bad actually, I don't know.
We look at, we should probably create an issue to look at whether we can do anything with that. Okay, that's good to know.
But yeah, just mentioned that as something potentially on the horizon.
Yep, sure. Okay, is there any sort of time scale that you want to do that in? When was that?
Node 20 is April, so by mid-March probably we have to decide what we're actually going to be doing.
Yeah, sure. Obviously we've got that on a few machines already, so okay, fair enough. I would hope that would be achievable. There's a couple of months, I guess. So. Okay. Anything else that we want to discuss here?
That was all from me. Honestly, either of you have anything you want to bring up?
Not for me, Rod. Anything?
Nope. Nope. All good.
Okay. Excellent. Well, thank you, everyone, and I will shut down this call, and hopefully that will automatically kill the YouTube stream as well. So